Peace to you. This is Yusuf here. May God stay Serbia and Syria. I'm going to read this message because it's, I'm not going to say who sent it. This is Yusuf. I've just spent the last 2 hours watching your videos about transgender. I cried while watching one of them, and I was so glued to what you were saying that I took my laptop outside to the barbecue grill so I could still hear what you had to say while I was making dinner. You mentioned in one of your early videos that you were surprised to have received such a positive response from the trans community, even though you felt you had nothing insightful to say and that you didn't think you used the right language. Of course, it is because you were speaking from the heart and you displayed something truly rare. Not only did you, as a regular heterosexual guy, continue to recognize Moonfire's identity and humanity, and then in parentheses, it's rather than displaying the typical dehumanizing, ew, gross reaction of disgust, and parenthesis. But you were talkingly honest about what was going on in your mind and in your heart, and then you had the video reacting to Moonfire's heartbreaking disclosure video, and it was astounding seeing you simultaneously understanding exactly how the guy would feel in that situation and also how Moonfire feels, and you held both of those understandings in your head at the same time. That is what moved me to tears, to actually witness a guy who never seriously gave the matter any thought and who had his own prejudice beforehand actually think both mentally and emotionally about the situation that is extremely painful for women who face that conundrum. Before I met my husband, I had gone through experiences like that. My first boyfriend, I never told him, and we broke up. Thankfully, before things got too serious, I'm glad I never told him that I was transgendered because I think things would have gone very bad. The later boyfriend I told after we had been dating for over a month platonically. I insisted on that, and he was very shocked when I finally forced myself to tell him. He said there was no way he could have possibly guessed, and while he was initially accepting and even gave me a loan to schedule my surgery, he just couldn't deal with it. Then I met my future husband. He knew from the start because he was seeking information online about trans issues. This was back in the 1990s. He, like you, was a regular guy who didn't know much about it, but he had an employee who is transgendered, and he had witnessed firsthand the difficulties she had with prejudiced people, and it changed his attitudes about it. Then he met me and fell in love, and we've been together for over 13 years. I think the most difficult thing we have to deal with is the stigma and prejudice that people in general have about us, whether thinking we are really the opposite of who we are, or that we are perverse or immoral, that we are deluded or insane, as Pandora's box says, that we hurt other women or want to prey on people. The list goes on and on. Just look at the comments in any news article that appears online about transgendered. It's always the same judgmental, ignorant stuff. I'm glad that I'm glad that one real-life transgendered person can change your prior uninformed perceptions, whatever they were. At least this one instance. I'm not visibly transgender. Only a few people know about my past, so I am lucky that I do not experience discrimination and prejudice firsthand like so many other people do. But it still hurts, and I know that if certain private facts become known to others, I would face the same. It would, I think, break my heart if my in-laws found out about my past, or my husband's kids from his first marriage. I worry it would drastically change how they view me, that they might no longer perceive me as female, that they might think odd things about me, that they might think I lied to them, that they might question my husband's sexuality, and so forth. I wouldn't feel this way if societal attitudes were different. If it didn't invalidate transgendered people and attitudes were different. If it didn't invalidate transgender people and make us feel less than human as a target of mockery and hate, and so that means I have to fight against feeling shame for being, which means I have to fight against, oh, darn, and so that means I have to fight against the feeling of shame for being what I am. Transgendered might be what I am, but it doesn't define who I am. This part was in parentheses. And very often it's a losing battle. I don't want to give the wrong impression. I'm a very happy person living a very rewarding and fulfilling life. Unimaginable without the transition to become the authentic person who I am. But these are things that still creep into my heart. I love your video about helping other people. I think, at least for me, being transgender has given me a lot of empathy towards other people who face hardships and prejudices. I am not a Christian. I am somewhat of an agnostic or atheist. But definitely not an anti-theist. But my morality is very much allied and informed by the Jesus of the Gospels, who gave the Sermon on the Mount and who castigated those who were self-righteous but lacked love for others. I was really struck in your new video how completely non-judgmental you were in saying that you pray for transgendered people, not to change, but to have the bigotry and oppression stop. I think I teared up a second time when I heard you say that. That's the true meaning of praying for someone. Anyway, much love to you and Archbishop Lazar. When he earlier posted a video on transgender back in March, I exchanged PMs with him, expressing my appreciation for his words. I am glad to see people speaking out against ignorance and bigotry. Not because it affects them personally, but because it's the right thing to say. I'll leave her name out. And then there's a PS on the bottom, and I'll leave that out too. To me, this is astounding. I don't think my videos make impact, or I think a lot of them are arguing. And I'm not reading this as to be self-righteous or anything like that. But it's quite shocking. I don't know if I met a transgender person in person. I would have spent the last 2 hours watching your videos about transgender. I cried while watching one of them, and I was so glued to what you were saying that I took my laptop outside to the barbecue, even though you felt you had nothing insightful to say and that you didn't think you used the right language. Of course it is because you were speaking from the heart and you displayed something grill, so I could still hear what you had to say while I was making dinner. You mentioned in one of your early videos that you were surprised to have received such a positive response from the trans community. Peace to you, this is Yusuf here, may God save Serbia and Syria. I'm going to read this message because it's, I'm not going to say who sent it. It says, Yusuf, I've been truly rare. Not only did you, as a regular heterosexual guy, continue to recognize Moonfire's identity and humanity, and then in